Whoever said money can't buy happiness never owned a baseball team with a $400 million payroll. Since 2019, the Dodgers have gone from, yes, we're a rich team, but we still listen to our analytics guys, to, why wouldn't we give a 30-year-old reliever $72 million? Make no mistake, the Dodgers are still a very smart organization. They've just slightly altered their strategy to now acquire any player that enters the gravitational pull of Andrew Friedman. In the past 5 seasons, the Dodgers have shelled out a total of $2.3 billion, with over half of it coming to Shohei, Mookie, and Yamamoto. Granted, the deferrals probably make this whole math exercise a waste of time, but the point remains. The Dodgers spend money like crazy. To be fair, the spending spree has not come without expectations. That's fairly natural for a team that wins the World Series and then adds Roki Sasaki, Blake Snell, Tommy Edman, and Tanner Scott in the offseason. The already high bar was raised even higher to what I call the ESPN first take level. This level is automatically triggered when the preseason odds for a team get so high that the producers at ESPN are forced to ask Stephen A if it's championship or bust for them. Even the most triggered Twitter user had to put down his pizza rolls and admit that the Dodgers had assembled a team capable of challenging the all-time win record. Now that we're in August, we can reflect on the season a bit. From an outside perspective, the Dodgers look like they are having a typical Dodgers season, which means they're in first place, where they've been most of the season. Shohei has already hit 1,000,000 home runs, and the Padres got so paranoid about missing the playoffs that AJ Preller basically traded away his entire farm system. But the reality is this season has been a bit of a bumpy ride. What hasn't been the issue this year is the offense. This group consistently ranks top 5 in runs scored every single season, and 2025 is no exception to that. Oddly enough, the only player that's not hitting is Mookie Betts, who is having by far the worst year of his career. The offense is not the problem. The problem is that the Dodgers are currently the 9th worst team in baseball at preventing runs, allowing 4.5 runs per game. If they continue this pace, it would be the most runs the Dodgers have given up as a franchise since 2006, or 2 BC. The reason they can't stop teams from scoring is actually pretty simple. Their defense is bad, and their pitching staff has collectively spent a decade or so on the IL. The term weathering the storm gets thrown around a lot these days in sports media, but for most teams, this situation would almost definitely end in the signing of Rich Hill and the sharp increase in GM visits to the booth, discussing the bright future of the org. Of course, we're talking about a team that just a couple months prior assembled the baseball version of Thanos, so it was never really a doubt that they would be just fine. But what it did do was open up opportunities for others. And while what has happened does not quite constitute a Disney full-length feature film, it is quite interesting. And I'll tell you about it right after a quick break from today's sponsor. Jack Dreyer doesn't throw hard. He doesn't miss many bats, he doesn't have a weird delivery, and none of his pitches really move that much. He's the sort of pitcher that doesn't get drafted in today's game. And, well, didn't. To be fair, it's hard to fault a team for not taking a college pitcher who only threw 60 career innings. In fact, it was so hard to find college video on this kid that we aren't even watching Dreyer pitch right now. This is just a random Iowa Hawkeyes game from 2020. Weirdly, Dreyer is also the type of pitcher that both scouting and analytics departments might like. Scouts might like Dreyer because he makes hitters uncomfortable in the box, never quite able to put a good swing on the ball. Analytics departments might like Dreyer because his fastball has elite carry and he hardly ever surrenders a home run. Although they couldn't get him drafted, these traits are probably why Dreyer shot up through the minors so fast. After just 124 career minor league innings, the Dodgers added him to their 40-man roster in November of 2024, in a move that protected him from getting picked up in the Rule 5 draft. It's hard to imagine anyone outside of the Dodgers front office thinking Jack Dreyer would appear in many, if any, major league games this year. Injuries to Evan Phillips and Michael Kopech, however, allowed Dreyer to make the opening day roster, whereupon he was immediately thrust into the action in Tokyo. After allowing 1 run to the Cubs in his debut on March 19th, Dreyer would surrender exactly 0 runs over his next 9 appearances, spanning almost a calendar month. His ridiculous 0.66 ERA didn't last, but it became clear to the Dodgers that they had a legitimate weapon on their hands. The unique thing about Jack Dreyer is not that he gets outs, but rather how he gets them. He doesn't overpower anyone in the traditional sense, simply because he can't. After all, he throws 92. Rather than overpower, Dreyer aims to remove power. A typical at-bat sees the hitter caught in a sort of torture chamber, by which they are consistently swinging under the fastball, but over the slider. Even if you do match the angle of the pitch, there's a good chance that it's located awkwardly enough to render you useless. His stuff most resembles the slow-mo power-up pitch in backyard baseball, a pitch that looks like it should be hit 450 feet, but instead leaves the batter walking to the dugout shaking his head. This exceptional ability to miss barrels has helped land Dreyer in the 97th percentile for expected ERA, which means he's 97% better than every other pitcher, and 1% better than Livy Dunn's boyfriend. Jack Dreyer has been as valuable to the Dodgers as Alex Vesia, Kirby Yates, Blake Trinan, and Tanner Scott combined. The Dodgers paid $42 million for 1.3 wins above replacement, only to have an undrafted rookie making league minimum do the same. The moral of this story is that no matter how much you think you hate the Dodgers, you can always hate them more.